standard, SSE 2 and 3, you're going to learn how to factor using the greatest common factor of an expression. First thing I want you to do is simplify each expression. Pause the video and simplify the expression. Number 1, distribute the 5, and you get 30x minus 35. Number 2, negative 2x distributed to the parenthesis. Negative 6x, remember that is to the third power because you're just adding the exponents, minus 18 x squared plus 2x. The last one, 5a squared b to the third power. Multiply the 5 and the 3 and you get negative 15. A squared times a is a to the third power. B third times b is b to the fourth power. Now distribute to this one. Plus 35. A squared times a is a to the third power. And just bring the b3 there. Last but not least, distribute to the negative 4b to the fifth power. And you get negative 20. A squared b to the eighth power. As you can tell, I used the properties of the distributive property and my properties of exponents to combine like terms. Factoring by greatest common factor. We begin our factoring discussion today by finding the greatest common factor. Factoring is to unmultiply. We want to know what did we multiply to get our expression. When we factor numbers, we can get multiple answers. For example, 12 can be factored into 4 times 3, 6, 2, or 112. When we factor polynomial expressions, we will have only one answer. Remember, it's kind of like what we did back in 6th grade. 12x plus 3, to unfactor it, I find the greatest common factor, which is 3, and I pull it out of the 12x, it becomes 4x plus 1. That is a simple factoring problem. These are a lot different. Factoring. The first type of factoring we will do is the undistribute, kind of what I just talked about. We will need to find a common term and factor this out of the given expression. Here are 7 examples. Number 1, 3x minus 12. The greatest common factor is 3. They do not have an x in common. So the 3 is being taken out, and it goes on the outside of the parenthesis, and that becomes x, because 3x divided by 3 is 3, and negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. So I get 3 parentheses, x minus 4. And number 2, I first look at my coefficients, 10 and 15. The greatest common factor of 10 and 15 is 5. And then I look at my y's. The greatest common factor of y to the fifth power and y to the second power is y to the second power. When I divide 5 into 10, I get 2. When I divide y squared into y to the fifth power, remember it's just subtraction, I get y to the third power. Plus 5 into 15, I get 3. And y squared divided by y squared cancels out. So my answer would be 5y squared, parentheses, 2y to the third power plus 3. Number 3. I first look at the coefficients. The greatest common factor of negative 6 and 10, I would say, is negative 2. X to the third power and x to the sixth power, x to the third power. Y squared and y fourth, y squared. Now divide. Negative 2 into 6 becomes 3. The x's cancel out, and I get y squared. Negative 2 into 10, I get negative 5. The y squareds cancel out, and I get x to the third power. Number 4, the greatest common factor of 7 and 21 is 7, so 7 comes out. x squared and x, I get x. 7 divided by 7 cancels out. X squared divided by x is just x. 21 divided by 7 minus 3, and the x's cancel out. So 7x parentheses x minus 3 will be my answer. Next, number 5. 10x to the third power minus 50x to the seventh power. 10 is my greatest common factor. And then x to the third power is also my common factor. 1 minus 50 divided by 10 is 5x to the fourth power, because 7 minus 3 is 4. The greatest common factor of 12 and 20 is 4. The greatest common factor of a to the fourth power and a squared is a squared. B squared and b4 is b squared. 12 divided by 4 is 3. A fourth divided by a squared is a squared. And the b's cancel out. Plus 20 divided by 4 is 5. A squared divided by a squared cancels out. And I get b to the second power. Last one. Negative 7 and negative 14. The greatest common factor will be negative 7. Y to the fourth power and y is just y. Y to the fourth power divided by y is y to the third power. Negative 7 divided by negative 14. Be careful. Positive 2. And there's my answer.